Hey listeners, your host Denny Corby here. If you're new to the channel, I just want to let you know that this particular episode is from the vault with our OG host Gabe, and this is just good old-fashioned private club radio. Enjoy.
Welcome to Private Club Radio, your weekly source for industry education, news, and discussion. Broadcasting from Tampa, Florida, ladies and gentlemen, here is your host, Gabriel Aloisi.
Hey friends, we've got an exciting guest on today's show. Lily Braswell joins us from Winged Foot. She is on site as they prepare for the U.S. Open. Today is day one of the practice rounds, and there's a ton of things happening. She's the director of operations, so you can imagine what's on her plate. But we're going to talk to her about what that's like. It's a really fun interview that you're going to enjoy, and it's also very inspirational for all of you women out there, you ladies who are looking to move up the ladder at your club or get into this profession of private clubs. It's a very inspiring story to hear from someone who's at the top of her game and what that's been like. And she came out of the restaurant world, so that adds another layer of complexity as well. So it's a really cool interview. The sound quality is a little bit different from many of our episodes, and that's just because she's literally on site, so you'll hear a little bit of a wind noise in the background. It's windy today up there in New York, and there's a little bit of a delay as we didn't have the best connection, but the content is there, and you should be able to hear all the main points that Lily makes, and it's really an enjoyable chat. Now, just to give you an update on Private Club Radio, as you know, this show has moved away from its weekly podcasts, and we are going to move into a monthly rhythm, at least for the time being. Just like for you, things have changed drastically in terms of my schedule with my children now doing e-learning rather than going to school. It really has shrunk my time down, but I love this show. I want to continue to do this show. And to be able to do that, we need to move the show to monthly. Now, I'm going to try to make that one big, awesome show every month. We're going to probably have multiple guests, and it's going to be something that you're going to enjoy listening to. And it might take you a couple weeks to listen to because it might be that long. But the show will be moving to monthly here moving forward, at least for the time being. And I will keep you updated on when and if that changes. In the meantime, if you want to see my face, I'm putting episodes up twice weekly on my YouTube channel, Let's Play Through. I'd love it if you joined me over there on YouTube. We've gone to some amazing golf destinations, both private clubs as well as resort clubs. And we're doing a lot more golf technology reviews on that channel as well. So if you want to see my face weekly, there's the place to do it. In the meantime, you can listen to us here monthly talking about all things private club here on Private Club Radio once per month. All right, without further ado, I'm going to bring on Lily. I hope you enjoy what she has to say. Here we go. Well, my guest today is Lily Braswell of Winged Foot Golf Club. She's the director of operations, and as we all know, they're getting prepared right as we speak for the big open, the U.S. Opens happening at Winged Foot this year, which is an interesting time of the year for it, and during an interesting year in general. So Lily, anyways, welcome to Private Club Radio.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome. So tell us what it's like. This has got to be a unique situation. You guys are not new in terms of hosting tournaments, but under these conditions, it's got to be quite different.
It is. It has been such a big question mark throughout the year if this was going to happen or not. We had everything buttoned and ready to go, and then March comes and throws us this curveball of COVID, and everything comes to a halt, and we are waiting to see what's going to happen, and waiting to see if we're going to reschedule the event, if it's going to be canceled. And when the news of the Open being canceled came, that was, a great opportunity for the USGA and for us to jump into that time. And we're excited. This is actually finally happening. Even a month ago, we didn't know if it was really going to happen. They could have pulled the plug at any moment. The government, we didn't know. Mamaroneck, for those that don't know, is so close to the epicenter of coronavirus. It's just a few miles from New Rochelle. So it was a pretty scary situation for us. We unfortunately lost one of our employees to COVID-19. So it's particularly sensitive about the topic.
Wow, I think you might be the first club, at least I've talked to, that's had that happen. So that's got to be very sad. I'm very sorry to hear that. So what's it been like putting together these preparations on site? Like, what things need to change from a member perspective? How does that change the member experience? I'd love to learn more about that, Lily.
So part of the plan that was presented to Governor Cuomo was, when the U.S. Open happens, you still have to have a certain number of volunteers, still field marshals, you need field spotters. And as you know, all these volunteers fly from all over the world and all over the country. And that was the thing we're trying to avoid. So the ideal solution is actually, well, let's have our members be volunteers. We know where they are. We know that they live in the area. It's a little bit easier to control. So we have a little over 400 of our own members volunteering for the US Open. It's a great opportunity for them to be part of the event for those that want to. Um, so it's actually worked out, it worked out very well. They're coming for their first training day tomorrow. So that should be pretty excited.
That's cool. Yeah, you sounds like you turned a lemon into lemonade over there. That's really neat. How about in terms of like feeding the players and making sure that everyone's safe and wearing the PPE? How has that all gone?
So this is actually a very unique US Open in that sense as well. Normally, the players would get a part of the clubhouse, and it's 10 where they would get the locker rooms. And in an effort to keep the players and everybody safe, they are actually taking the entire clubhouse over.
Wow.
So we have 144 of the best players in the world having breakfast, lunch, and dinners to go from our chef, from our clubhouse. So it's been a little bit different. Today is the first practice rounds. Yesterday we had about maybe 50 players on property, and kudos to them. They were all wearing masks. They were all social distancing. It's a little bit strange, with the separation of tables, and their table is not as social and jolly as it normally is. But I think it's working, and I think they're excited to be here, and we're excited to have them. But
I
it
don't
is
want
a
to.
lot more work actually
Oh,
trying to. Of course.
I bet. I bet. Obviously, I don't want to cast any black clouds over the event or you in particular, but just wondering, like, is there something that like what's that one thing that like keeps you up at night thinking about this whole thing and making sure that it runs smoothly?
We just hope nobody is in contact with anybody that tested positive. That's our biggest fear. And what we have done on our end with our employees and our members is, want to be in the open? You stay home 2 weeks before the event. Don't go out at night. Don't go to bars. Don't go to restaurants. Don't be socializing. Just stay home. That is the biggest fear. If somebody tests positive, the contact tracing process is going to be endless.
Right.
So that does keep me up at night.
Sure.
And the weather, of course. That's
Of
something
course.
we can never control, but it doesn't look bad. So we're good.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. So you're actually asking the members to quarantine or anyone who's going to be volunteering. They're pretty much self quarantining for 2 weeks. It sounds like.
Be careful. Don't travel. Stay home. Do the right thing.
Interesting.
We don't want anybody to, God forbid, everybody gets in contact with somebody. And by the way, the numbers here in New York are insane. We have very low cases, very little hospitalization. So I don't think we are at, that risk, but the possibility is always there.
Sure.
This virus is just brutal. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll stay in the right course.
Well, it sounds like you're doing all the right things, and I can't wait to see it on television. Looks like it's going to be an incredible event. I want to shift gears a little bit here and just talk about you being a woman in this position. That's pretty much a rarity, I think, at least at least from my experience. So, what's that been like, and how did you get to where you were, Lily?
So believe it or not, 10 years ago when I got here, I didn't know much about golf. I didn't golf. I really wasn't interested in it. And I always joke that they hired me so I could focus on the operation and make sure that, everything was running really, it was probably supervised, etc. Um, After being here a couple of years, just like everybody else, all of a sudden, you get the bug, and I started taking a couple lessons, and uh, it's been an interesting ride. Yes, I am one of very few female managers in my position. But I think the world is shifting. I think that there's a lot more opportunity for females to be in the golf world, and I am lucky enough to have a group of wonderful fellow managers in the area, and we rely on each other for advice, support. Um, and I also got to thank my boss, the general manager, Colin Burns, who has always been supportive of my career. I don't think in his mind ever it occurred if it was a female or a male, and he just wanted somebody to get the job done. So it's been 10 years. It's been a long ride, but I'm very proud of what we have achieved. I think we drastically turned around the food and beverage program here. Our members are young, satisfied with the product they're receiving. And I mean, last year was obviously with the completion of the open was a record year for us. So we're very proud of being able to give the membership what they're expecting.
Love that. You actually came out of a completely different, well, not completely different, but a different career path. You were in the restaurant. That was your background, restaurants. What was it like making that transition into
Mhm.
private clubs? That can be
Mhm.
pretty different.
Um, I think actually when you go to a restaurant or you manage a restaurant and you have that background, you don't know your audience. I mean, you kind of have your regulars and then you don't know who's coming to you day in and day out. That's a little bit different of club because you know who your target audience is. You know that the same people are going to be coming every week. So it's a little bit easier to anticipate their needs and wants and their preferences. And I am very grateful that the club has allowed me to build a team service team that takes every detail into consideration. So they know that if Mr. Smith is showing up, you know exactly what table he likes, and they'll have his cocktail at the table, within a minute. So that is actually the easier part. Now, the hard part is that, once you set the bar this high, you can only go higher. God forbid it flips a little bit and then everybody's up in arms. So that's a little bit of a tough part here. But in general, I think we have the best membership in, the world, if you ask me. So that makes my job a lot easier.
That's a great point you make of that when you set the bar so high, you have to continually improve. How do you guys go about doing that out of curiosity? I mean, who comes up with the ideas or how do you go about looking to elevate that experience for members?
So it's a team effort. We're all eyes and ears, and we try to keep the lines of communication open with the members. There's always there's a good or bad. If we don't know what's happening, we can't fix it. We try to do surveys on a regular basis to know what their thoughts are. So right now, even with the open happening, we're thinking about what our next survey is going to be, and really it is about COVID and what's going to happen when outdoor dining, ends. Are you going to feel comfortable coming in and being inside? And would you come or not? Well, should we be, open all the days that we're open? Should we pare down our days? Should we consolidate? We're thinking on how to improve every day. Just because somebody came and have a great meal today doesn't mean it can be better the following. So I think the feedback from our members is very, very valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, for managers out there that haven't gone through this process, haven't hosted a major championship or maybe never even a championship before, I think it'd be fun if you could just take us through like a day in your life, like right now, this week. Like what's going to go on today? What do you have ahead of you, and what sort of things are you doing to prepare for the open?
So today was day one of practice round. So we were here around 5:30 in the morning just to make sure that um, there's a lot that goes with these coming in and the early crew needs to park on site. Everybody's parking on the right place. Everybody's going where they need to go. Everybody got the right credentials because, of course, we had somebody today that needed access to the clubhouse or didn't have access to the clubhouse. We got to run over to Yoshi team and have that fixed. We're going through signage. We're going through where everybody's being positioned. We're going to make sure that, the clubhouse is a place where they're supposed to be. We're making sure that our security people are a place where they're supposed to be. We're making sure our security people are properly fed breakfast so they can stay through the morning, making sure that everybody stays safe. The rest of the day, we actually have operations meetings. We are going to go through what we did yesterday because we had a few players yesterday and what worked, what didn't work from the food and beverage perspective, from the logistical perspective of them arriving through what gate, going to the locker rooms. And then we have later a meeting with our U.S. Open chair, Brian Marcel, and a few of his key people just to discuss what happens in case of emergency and who's going to do what and who communicates to what and so forth. And then hopefully after that, I'll get a break and have lunch
That would be
and
nice.
see what's going on. I'll probably go take I'll go walk over to the practice facility where we have our staff handling that area. And we are probably going to head over to our member volunteer tent area, make sure that our caterer, that is actually catered because we have about 400 volunteers and we're keeping the players in here. So our chef is taking care of the players. Our caterer down there, Rich Wells, is on track, set up and tent being built. And, we're talking today about, we need outlets here and there for phone charging stations and so forth. So a lot of little details, it's, I think the most important part right now to us to make sure that the member volunteer area is up to the standards of all.
Yep, that makes sense. How do you go about communicating what needs to change or those little details? How does that get communicated to the hundreds of people that are there on site? What do you guys use?
So we are actually for our member volunteers, where the communications is coming directly from the USJ. So she has it's email for the most part. So if we gotta tell them, today you need to arrive through the Shenandoah Gate, you're gonna use lot C, or you're gonna go to the harbor and take the shuttle, she will be the one that she funnels all the information through. So that's the way it's being done. Communications to our members, primarily member text on our private Instagram account. That's how we've been feeding them the information. And I think there's a lot of excitement for the members to see, what happened yesterday. When they can come in here. And I'll tell you a fun story. We had yesterday our superintendent, Steve Rabideau, had a general meeting with all his volunteers, and he surprised the group with Gary Woodland bringing the trophy over to them.
Cool.
So we documented that and posted it on our Instagram account, and members are like, wow, this is incredible. So thank you, Gary.
Awesome.
That was a really fun afternoon. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. I think it's so important to, use these big events for other private clubs out there that host, even if it's a smaller tour event or something, to really use that as a springboard in terms of telling the story of your club and then, of course, attracting membership through that. So that's really cool. And it's cool to hear that you use member text. That they've actually been a sponsor of this show for some time. So we love that platform, and what a great tool to be able to just get the message out to people immediately. That's so important. That's really cool to hear. Lily, last question for you before I let you go.
Important.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question before I let you go there, Lily. Not like you mentioned, I think there's definitely more women coming into the private club world and getting to the management roles like you and whatever you want to call it, breaking the glass ceiling or whatever. But what would your advice be to people out there, other ladies or other women out there who are looking to get into this and maybe move up the ranks in private clubs? What would be your advice to them?
Walk into the room like you own it. Chin up. You're no different than anybody else in the room. Be confident in your decisions and be very receptive and not defensive when you make a mistake. That's something that I've learned here, and that was probably my biggest downfall here is that you're very proud of your work, and when you make a mistake, there's nothing wrong in saying I made a mistake. Let's fix it. Don't be defensive and just get it done.
I love it. That's great advice for everyone out there. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks for joining us on Private Club Radio. I wish you a great rest of the day, and I hope you get to enjoy that lunch.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Take care.
Well, I found that very inspiring. I hope you did too, and I hope you'll pass this along to a young lady out there looking to move their way up into private club management and leadership. I'll catch you back here next month on Private Club Radio, and until then, here's to your membership success.
Private Club Radio is brought to you by Concert Golf Partners, helping to preserve and enhance private golf and country clubs. Visit concertgolfpartners.com to learn more about the recapitalization process.